Greetings and salutations, everyone. Welcome to the Dirt Sheet Radio NXT Post-Show Rewind for August the 13th. Ooh, spooky 2024. I am Tyler, the pro wrestling hipster, here with Molly and, of course,
CJ Carter in spirit. I'm the ghost. Ooh.
Oh, goodness gracious, guys. It is Tuesday night. It is NXT. What a show we had tonight. We have a lot to cover, a lot of big things to talk about. But, before we get into that, I do have to give a nod, a clap, a tip of the hat to our partner out there on the web, comicbookclick.com. That's, of course, comicbookclick.com/Dirt Sheet Radio. For all of your pop culture, comic book, professional wrestling needs, check it out right now. Make it your homepage. Look at it multiple times a day, just like we do. Not because we're legally obligated to do so, but because we love doing it. And while you're over there, get acquainted with our newest sponsor, NordVPN, where if you sign up for 1 full year through the website, you will receive 72% off that first month. The savings are absolutely astronomical. It's great. It's absolutely great. So go check it out right now if you're good at multitasking. After the show if you're not. CJ, what a main event we had tonight. Chase U taking on Axiom and Nathan Frazer for the NXT Tag Team Championship, and Chase U taking home the gold tonight in just about 10 minutes and 6 seconds. I am clearly elated with the outcome here tonight. What did you think of tonight's main event, CJ?
I thought it was fantastic. This was both teams giving it everything they had and just hitting every good notch on the way. Like, they built up both teams to the point that either one could win at any given moment, and there were a lot of really close calls that I thought Frazer and Axiom were actually gonna take the match. And it's interesting too because we'll get into the segments themselves later on in the show, but they were kind of planting seeds with both teams along the way, where it's like, if we lose, I'm turning on you. So, one, I'm glad that didn't happen here, but two, it's going to be interesting to see how Chase U exists and if there truly are no rifts between the halves of Chase U.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see how they go with that going forward. You know, if there is going to be any sort of implied or long-term turn for Chase U, if, you know, with Ridge's influence, if they're going to be willing to go to a less scrupulous place to get things done, but they didn't have to go there tonight. I mean, there was a little bit of, you know, I don't want to even say chicanery, just kind of outside the ring craziness tonight, but nothing, you know, really below board happened. It was no crazy cheating or anything like that. It was a solid match, and Chase U got it done tonight. And do you think that this will lead to, you know, Ridge Holland being completely accepted here, or, as you said, with that rift, you know, having been there, do you think that Ridge is still going to be looked at as a snake, as Booker T put it multiple times on commentary tonight? I expect him to bite me.
It's like, I was definitely like Vic Joseph, kind of like, the fuck are you talking about? Like, I get the analogy, it just doesn't feel like it really applied.
Right.
Anyways, I genuinely am happy for Ridge Holland. He has really done a proper NXT rehabilitation in my eyes. I see the other half of Chase U maybe still being weary, buried deep down. Like, this genuine emotion of celebration at the end feels genuine. So I think, if anything, they might hold off until they're ready to lose the titles. But they also, hot on the heels of so many teams dissolving lately, it feels like maybe now's not the best time either way.
Yeah, especially if Axiom and Frazer are about to implode here. Let's just leave the belts on somebody, an established team as Chase U is. Obviously, Andre Chase and Rich Holland as a unit, as a team, are relatively new and untested. But Chase U as a group, long running group, so I'm very happy for this, and I'm interested to see what they do with it going forward. If this is the start of a new run for Chase U, put them on the path to winning here. But that was awesome. It was a great match. The crowd was into it. Definitely dueling chants throughout the match. And yeah, just high octane, high pace, great spots, and great finish. I was all here for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Hell of a match, and I loved the big celebration in the ring at the end. It was really touching and heartwarming, and it really put a cherry on top of a great episode of NXT.
Oh yeah, and, confetti, it was awesome. It was just an awesome moment. And I just want to point out that this was 2 weeks that the NXT Tag Team Championship was the main event of NXT television. We talk about sometimes about how the WWE over the course of a number of years just really kind of put down and dragged tag team wrestling, because Vince McMahon was the only guy on the planet that promoted wrestling that didn't think that tag teams could main event shows. And clearly, Shawn Michaels has a much higher respect for tag team wrestling than Vince ever had.
Well, and I mean, you even look at the last 2 WrestleManias. One night being main evented by a tag team match. So the fact that it's happened twice in 2 years under Triple H, whereas Vince McMahon only let 1 tag team match main event, it really goes to show that the future secure, at least as far as men's tag team wrestling is concerned.
All right, brother. Well, anything else on tonight's stellar main event and Chase U's victory, or are you ready to hop around at the start of tonight's show?
Yeah, let's do it, man.
Alrighty. Well, tonight's NXT came to us, as it typically does, from the WWE Performance Center in Florida. Although here pretty soon, we'll be going on the road a bit. Looking forward to those on the road shows as well, see what the crowd's going to be like at those. But we had a quick recap of the second night of the Great American Bash leading into the show. At the top, we did see Wes Lee arriving, and he refused to speak to the interviewer. And that was, kind of quickly made apparent as to why, when Ethan Page walked up and took said mic from interviewer, even replaced it with his own, I don't know, what do you call that? Mic caddy, faceplate? I don't really know what to call it, but he had his own all-ego microphone.
It's called a mic jacket.
Is it really called a mic jacket?
Yeah, I think I've called it like a mic sleeve before.
Yeah.
Okay. I learned something new here. I will say my experience with microphones is less. My background was always theater, and we didn't mic up too often in the theater, y'all. But regardless of that, Ethan Page walked his way out to the ring and opened the show tonight. The back and forth promo here, and we'll get into the meat of it here. Went about the first 20 minutes, so pretty solid work here. But very quickly out there comes Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry making his intentions very clear that he is sticking around NXT and he wants to win that NXT Championship.
And not to be outdone with a mic sleeve of his own.
I didn't even notice that. Good God.
Oh, really?
No, I honestly didn't. Sometimes some of the little details do slip by me. There's a lot of multitasking going on during these live shows, y'all. But fantastic. Yeah, of course, now that you say that, it's like, clear as day there. But yeah, great back and forth here between Hendry and Page. And Hendry jumped by Wes Lee at the end of this. CJ, what do you think of tonight's opening segment? Both the promo chops of Joe Hendry and Ethan Page. How you feeling about this one?
Well, I thought Ethan's walk to the ring, one of those promo walk and talk intros, I think this was the best one of those I've seen recently, if not as far back as I can think, anyways. And the one problem I had with Ethan Page's intro is his music. And now that I know Booker T loves it, it kind of makes me hate it a little bit more.
That's probably the intention, because it is a pretty good song as far as like current NXT songs go.
What are you talking about?
You don't like Ethan Page's entrance theme?
Legitimately, it's 4 verses, repeat the same verse over 4 times, and half of it is unintelligible. You have auto-tuned ego.
I dig it. I don't know. I think it fits his character. Like I like it. I like it. Like it's not going to be, it's not going to be played in my car anytime soon. But I do like it. Admittedly,
you blare it. You have the windows down as you go to work, and you're just like walking into work like
all ego, baby, every day at the Barley Bin of Dublin, all ego. Jesus. But yeah, but I thought the promo though was great though. You know.
Oh yeah, well, Joe Hendry comes out, and of course he just blows the roof off the place, because that's the kind of fire and electricity that Joe Hendry has. Which, I mean, great for him. Like the fact that he's this cult of personality status within wrestling is really cool, especially in the 21st century, where you don't get a lot of focus and attention retained. He has retained it quite well, across multiple platforms and companies. So it's wonderful seeing him succeed, especially in NXT. And then with everything coming full circle, with Wes Lee, you know, him starting out the night and then coming in right at the end. I think that this number 1 contenders match that they've set up, and we'll obviously talk about that later too, but I think that Wes Lee as a bad guy is intriguing. Like, to hear his side of the story feels like regular heel story, but we'll get to that when he actually talks about his explanation. The one note that I did have, when Joe Hendry starts singing his song, and the crowd starts singing it, and Ethan Page is like just yelling, "No, stop singing!" But he's like not yelling it into the microphone. He just completely forgot he had a microphone in his hand.
He was so overcome with anger and anxiety in that moment that he just shouted to the clouds into the heavens. I do
know what would have made the clouds and heavens hear you? A microphone.
It would have helped. It would have helped for sure. But I do want to point out one line that Ego had in this I thought was just really, really good. Obviously, I don't believe this to be true, but he said that he believes that Hendry is on the 14th of his 15 minutes of fame. And I just thought that was a great line. Heel line or not, just like absolute great line. But fun promo overall.
That's why his intro today was so good, because he's such a smooth talker, and he just has a way of accentuating his heel personality with his words. He's phenomenal on the mic.
Absolutely. But all right, so from the opening segment and Wes Lee's attack, we go on to the backstage area where we had Charlie Dempsey and Miles Bourne having a little sparring session ahead of Dempsey's Heritage Cup opportunity here tonight. And Ren Sinclair approached, and she's a full-fledged member of the group now. And love that she pointed out that she did find out that Tavion Heights is actually in Japan. It's for real. It's not, you didn't get trunked as it would be. But he is actually in Japan. And a fun little segment here. CJ, what'd you think of this segment here and the no quarter catch cruise? I guess kind of interplay with their newest member, Ren Sinclair.
Well, first off, shout out to Tavion Heights for actually winning his match in Japan as well. I didn't see the full match, but I saw clips of the finish floating around online, and he has quite an upside since joining the no quarter catch crew. Like, it's given him some fuel to this rocket, and hopefully it's gonna really take him to some good places. This segment, I love this character that Ren Sinclair has taken on, like at this point Charlie Dempsey was still kind of reluctant to embrace her, but I'm glad she's got this this shot with the eliminator.
Oh yeah, and so yeah, great transition there. As from there, we went backstage to, again, I guess further backstage here. But Ava, Rob Stone, and Stevie Turner were all around one of those Royal Rumbler tumblers. I guess they're technically a bingo tumbler, but I'm a wrestling fan, so when I see that, I think Royal Rumble typically. But they were pulling out names at random to be in this eliminator match to determine the number one contender for the Women's NXT Championship. And the first three names were determined during this segment, and we had Ren Sinclair of the No Quarter Catch crew, Adriana Rizzo of the family, and Sol Ruca of the beach, I guess, because she doesn't really have a group affiliation that I could tack onto that. But yeah, so that was the first three names announced. I guess we should probably just go ahead and talk about the other three that were announced for it as well. They did this later in tonight, but the other three women in the match will be Jada Parker, Kendall Gray, and Carmen Petrovic. CJ, man, what do you think of the six women that will be in the eliminator match? And just kind of knee-jerk here, who do you think has the best opportunity of winning and going on to face Miss Roxanne Perez?
Well, the knee jerk for me, it comes down to either Sol Ruca or Jada Parker. Hands down, the two biggest stars in this match. And I don't know if the argument was made on TV, because I'm sure it's made online, but Sol Ruca did get a title match for the North American Championship, so I guess that doesn't apply. But I'm siding with Sol Ruca, by the way. I'm not saying she doesn't. She shouldn't have qualified for the draw. I'm very glad to see she's getting the opportunity. And I think among the field of competitors, I'd say she probably stands the best chance of heading on to face Roxanne.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think it is really, kind of more or less, her match to win here. And I think it's going to be her moving forward. And it just makes sense because it is also, well, I'm with you that kind of the two front runners in that would be Sol Ruca and Jada Parker. Sol pulls ahead in part because she's a face. I mean, is Jada Parker still a heel technically, or?
I think that they might have turned OTM during their feud with Gallows and Anderson.
Okay. That makes sense.
And we'll talk about Gallows and Anderson, unfortunately, later on in the show as well. And it seems like they're maintaining a heel alignment. So it's most likely, I think, OTM is going to ride his faces because of how popular Jada Parker is.
Right. That would make sense. So yes, I definitely say they're the two front runners, but yeah, I would lean a little more towards Sol just for the time. Also, to just kind of based off of her past positioning, like you said, like she's had gotten the North American shot there. She was in serious competition for that. But yeah, when they said no title shots, I assume they meant that the NXT Women's Championship specifically. When they said that.
Well, yeah, and I did too.
But yeah, there definitely will be there's always someone crying foul on the internet. You know how that is.
Right.
Or, people laugh reacting things that don't need to be laugh react. I see you all out there, just so you know. Nothing funny about it. The updates. Nothing funny at all.
I do have to say, though, when the other three were announced, Jada Parker, Kendall Gray, and Carmen Petrovic, when Petrovic was announced, I don't know if you heard what she said. She said something to the effect of getting that shing action. And that kind of weirded me out a little. I'm just like, why would she say that?
What does that mean?
Like, okay, I get it. She's a swordswoman.
Oh, like shing, okay.
Yeah, but like, it doesn't really feel like her character would say that. Like, it feels like anybody that said that shing action while talking about a weapon would not be, discussing that weapon with proper respect.
It sounds like something Lexus King would say.
Oh, no, that's too corny. Like, shing action for what?
I don't know, but I could hear him saying it. He wants some rock and roll and some shing. All right, let's move on to what opened. As far as matches, but our opening match here tonight, the Heritage Cup on the line. The Dawn of NXT facing the No Quarter Catch Crew's Charlie Dempsey. The tough love of Ren Sinclair in this match paid dividends because Charlie Dempsey walks away the new, and now I guess 2-time, Heritage Cup champion. It is back in the hands of the No Quarter Catch Crew. Fantastic match. Tony D's run comes to an end. I was a bigger fan of his run as as a Heritage Cup champion. I was a bigger fan of his run than a lot of people on the online seem to be. But I thought this match was great, and I'm thrilled that it's back on Charlie Dempsey, or in the hands of Charlie Dempsey. And I assume that it will be passed around the No Quarter Catch Crew as it was being before. But that remains to be seen if they will apply the no catch clause to the cup again. But CJ, man, what did you think of the match, the title change, and the Dawn's run with the cup?
Well, first of all, the Dawn had an incredible run. He definitely was entertaining as champion, and I hope he gets a North American title shot down the line once. If there's a chance when Oba Femi's done with it. But I love the No Quarter Catch Crew right now. Like, I would say they are at their best. Ren Sinclair is a fantastic addition. And you still have, at its core, 3 guys in a stable that are vicious and tenacious in the ring. Ren Sinclair, if she, I don't know that she's particularly as ruthless as they are, but if she can turn up that dial, I think that'd be amazing in the ring.
Yeah.
But I mean, even as far as characters go, like, everyone is just firing on all cylinders, and I love it. And with the catch clause, that's, I think, this brings up an interesting point now. Can the Heritage Cup be defended by Ren Sinclair?
I have that in my notes. I'm so glad that you brought this up because
I feel like you knew I would.
Yeah, because the possibilities, because the last time that the NQCC held the cup as a collective, they didn't have Ren Sinclair. There were no women in the group. It was a very different group then, honestly. I would love to see that. I would absolutely love to see that. Just just have her just, basically just, shout off at the mouth backstage at somebody, get in some sort of verbal conflict with one of the other women there at NXT, and just basically just offer to put it on the line to get in a fight with somebody, and it happened. I'd love to see that. It'd be fantastic.
But then I have to imagine that there's a possibility, and I don't know why the image is so funny to me, of Heritage Cup champion Jada Parker. Like, it's funny in the sense of, like, just the image of regality and heritage and everything that the cup is supposed to represent. And Jada Parker's character is so brash and anti-regal in a sense. And, it's just the antithesis of everything the Heritage Cup is meant to be, is who Jada Parker is. And I just think that'd be fantastic. Nothing against Jada Parker. Like, she'd be her in a British rounds match is essentially just 2 really quick rounds of whoever it is just getting pummeled.
Right. It would be interesting to kind of introduce that match concept into the women's division. I mean, we have really booked some wild possibilities in our minds with the Heritage Cup over the course of the DSR NXT rewinds here. Both of its magical, one ring like properties to the now potentiality of it being defended by Ren Sinclair and lost by Ren Sinclair to another woman on the roster. But
I mean, it's better than introducing a women's Heritage Cup.
Yeah, agreed with that.
And then it's kind of like the 24/7 title where, it can be men or women winning.
Right. Yeah. Anything can happen in NXT. Anything at all. But going on from the Heritage Cup title change, Lola Vice and Kalani Jordan were talking backstage. And you see Tatum Paxley hanging out in the background again. And she gets a little verbal confrontation here with Lola. Playing the cool kids card, she's saying it must be nice being popular and cool and having everyone like you and having a locker that's on the top row. Hickenbottom high, y'all. Hickenbottom high. But this would set up for a match between Lola Vice and Tatum Paxley to take place later tonight. From there, we had a pre-recorded segment with Eddie Thorpe and Alexis King. Greetings. With Eddie Thorpe and Alexis King. I dug this segment. Everybody came across here as a pretty genuine and natural. This was, I don't really understand Lexus King's aversion to different types of music, and it's the first time I've ever heard EDM referred to as satanic. That's usually what is actually signed on to rock and roll. So I thought that was kind of funny. But
because we're in a digital age and the computer is the devil now, so therefore electronic music is the devil now.
Okay.
First thing I thought of as soon as it showed Eddie Thorpe behind the turntables, I was like, oh, bet you Danny's gonna have something to say about that. Shout out to Danny Ocean. Love that guy. But, no, I think if anything, the way this match started with Eddie Thorpe getting jumped from behind during his entrance, thank you, Tony. I appreciate that. If anything, him getting jumped in the entrance, cutting it off, I was bummed not to see the whole thing.
Yeah.
Eddie Thorpe has a fantastic entrance.
He does.
And honestly, okay, I hate to keep harping on Booker T, but knowing that he hates Eddie Thorpe's music makes me love it even more.
Oh, man. He does. He likes rock and roll, dog. He loves the television star. That's king. But yeah, this match, we talked about this a little bit on Level Up Adventure over the weekend and how we kind of thought this match would need to go in and how this would kind of tell what they were feeling about Lexis King. Lexis King does get the win here in just about 4 minutes. So they must not be completely done with the experiment of the television star Lexis King.
No, and I had that same thing in my notes. I remember saying the other day how King needed to win this match. So it, top of mind for me too. And hopefully Eddie Thorpe is able to, rebound. And hopefully, more importantly, I think, it means that Lexis King is actually on the right track now for some actual success in WWE.
His beard was real tonight.
As opposed to every other night when it's just painted on.
Right. No, it really was like, it wasn't the whatever the hell they're doing to achieve that look. It was normal, just hair. I almost said fur.
I'm pretty sure it's still like CG though. Like they just... they have some of the best AI in the world built into their cameras that can just, maintain his fake ass beard.
You heard it here first, folks. Lexis King's beard is deep fake technology.
That's the only explanation.
Yeah, you're right. It is. But up next, we had another pre-recorded segment that, again, was very good. Trick Williams cutting a promo on Pete Dunne. And this immediately led into Pete Dunne giving a rebuttal with Kelly Kincaid. CJ, what did you think of Trick's pre-recorded promo here, as well as Dunne's rebuttal?
I thought it was a great promo. He definitely is so good on the mic. So I'm not surprised that he was able to hold his own in a pre-recorded promo. And Pete Dunne's response, obviously, like he said no, but obviously they're going to wind up facing each other again somewhere down the line.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a good promo for sure. But then, like, that transition from, like, immediate transition from one promo segment to another, like, it was literally both guys go opposite directions, and then the camera person, crosses the parted Red Sea, and we wind up talking to a good number of the women in the division. Fallon Henley. You're gonna have to take it from here. I can't remember.
Let's see. So it was.
I'll have it written down.
Yeah, it was Lash Legend, Jakara Jackson, Fallon Henley, and Jasmine Nix.
Yeah,
were all back there. Yeah, it was a lot of them back there. I think it was kind of like the hair and makeup room.
Yeah, but like it was, and they had a good promo as well. Trying to hype up the Gauntlet Eliminator match, which ironically nobody in this segment got put into the match.
Yeah,
but.
Also, JC was out of the mask, so her nose must.
Didn't even notice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, like the transition was a little jarring for me. I don't know if it was for you.
It was basically having 3 little promo shots in a row was maybe a bit much. They could have tried to break that up a little bit further. I understand having the little bit there with Legend and Jackson and Henley and Nix, but it really just kind of felt like getting them on TV this week. That's what that kind of felt like. Like, hey, don't forget that they're here. They exist. They're important to our show. They're here.
We just don't have a match for them this week.
Exactly. And like you said, like, yeah, they're talking about the potential of being placed in the Gauntlet match because the other 3 were still to be drawn, but none of them were in it. So it really was just kind of, like I said, it just 100% feels like it was designed just to make sure that the viewers are thinking about all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was a bit much in a row. But that did lead to a match of Lola Vice and Tatum Paxley. This was, I think, the shortest match we had tonight. Vice picks up the win here in just about 2 minutes, kind of quickly and unexpectedly. That backhand came out of nowhere. But during the course of this match, Kalani Jordan was on commentary, and she got choked out by Wendy Chu.
I was definitely
going after
like,
random.
It definitely caused the distraction that led to Tatum Paxley losing the match. But then to stand there with Lola Vice as Wendy stands over Kalani's body holding up the title, what the hell are they doing with Tatum Paxley?
I'm not sure. She's just trying to get friends, CJ. She just wants friends. That's it. That's all she wants. Like, she keeps talking. She seems very upset about this whole ordeal of being lonely backstage and having no one to, play with, her dolls and her action figures. It's really just kind of sad.
Oh, that's fair. But
I was hoping that she and Wendy were going to be really good friends. They could still be. I don't know. It's still a possibility. Maybe Wendy only chokes out people she likes.
That could be it. Maybe that's what this is about too. Is Wendy is trying to play with Kalani, and Kalani has the toy that Wendy wants to play with.
See, that's it.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, but let's see. We already talked about the other 3 women that were added to the eliminator. Let's see. I think the only other thing that happened during that segment was that when they set up for Izzy Dame's match that happened later.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's the only other thing of note that really happened there. But from there, one of, at least in my mind, one of the more anticipated segments tonight, because I have been waiting a solid week to find out Wes Lee's motivation as to why he turned on his, not just friends, brothers in the Rascals. And we got our first real glimpse of heel Wes Lee tonight. Came to the ring with a just paced, determined, just swagger, really. And kind of really good promo, I thought. Explained why he turned on the Rascals, that he was tired of being Zachary Wentz's caretaker, tired of cleaning up his messes, waking him up for flights, making sure he's where he's supposed to be, squashing his beast that he stirs up, in a fashion that's matching a lot of recent heel turns in WWE. There's logic here. You feel for Wes. It makes sense why he did what he did. But solid promo work. CJ, what'd you think of our first look at evil Wes Lee?
I thought that it was and I was still waiting for some kind of response to why he started by super kicking Trey, if he had such a problem with Dez, but anyways, no, it was good. I like Wes Lee on the mic as a heel. I think it works really well. And yeah, they teased a match at No Mercy, hinting at a stipulation, because he referenced the name No Mercy. So expecting a one-on-one, I'm assuming some no DQ. What do you think's going to happen, Kyle?
Yeah, I'm thinking, definitely with the him really pushing the No Mercy line, there's going to have to be either no DQ, falls count anywhere. They can even put some sort of stipulation, because he did say in this that after he's done with him, he wishes him his best of his future endeavors, and he can go be a TNA wrestler. Maybe even some sort of thing like that. Like if Wentz loses, that's it for the Rascals in NXT. They won't be welcome back. Like kind of a loser leaves town kind of a thing. But obviously, West wouldn't have that stipulation carried to him. Now I will say, just from my own personal explanation as to why he kicked Trey, it was probably because Trey would have stopped the attack otherwise. That's my best explanation I got, was strike him first and then go after your intended target. I'm looking forward to the match. I assume it will happen at No Mercy. Here's a question. Do we get Zachary Wentz's response next week on NXT television, or do we get it on TNA television?
I was going to say, like, this would be a good opportunity for some cross promotion where, Zachary Wentz is going to have his response this Thursday on Access TV, which, I mean, we talked about that on Sunday too. Who the fuck has Access TV? But, you know, it's one of those, TNA has to get a bump in viewership somehow. And having their superstars, their wrestlers, God, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid too much, showing up on NXT TV really only helps NXT if you're going, oh, who's going to show up?
Mm-hmm.
And there has to be that balance. And to their credit, there have been and continue to be some examples, but not to the level that NXT is getting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's still. And
please tell me I'm muted.
What?
Please tell me I'm muted in time.
In time for what?
Okay, good. Never mind. I know we're live. I felt it rising and I couldn't not burp, and I just didn't want that on the show.
Live
so,
on the stream.
Sorry for the interruption.
No, I didn't hear it there. But you know, in the course of the promo here, we did get an interruption from Pete Dunne, and then an interruption with Joe Hendry, and a brawl with the three, which is setting up for the triple threat match next week to determine number one contender for Ethan Page's NXT Championship. CJ, who do you see picking up the win there and going on to face Page?
I mean, the knee jerk again here is going to be Hendry for me because, one, Wes Lee is shaping up to take on Wentz.
Exactly.
Pete Dunne is, he's shooting down Trick rematch, but I guarantee the Trick isn't. So there's got to be a blow off there. So Joe Hendry, especially being as popular as he is right now, it makes sense for him to be getting the title shot against Page.
Yep, absolutely agree. Just for how much fire he is on right now, and two, that gives you a face heel match for number 3. But it's gonna be a good match there. Looking forward to it next week.
Yeah, me as well.
But all right, man. So from there, we had Kelly Kincaid talking with Axiom and Nathan Frazer ahead of the main event tonight. They said that they were locked in as a team. They were on the same page. There were no more distractions. They were ready to go. They might have been locked in as a team, but they weren't as ready to go as they thought they were, as it turned out.
Or at the very least, Chase U was just a little more ready than they were.
Yeah, preparation, They watched the tape. They were prepared. But after that, we got the unseen interviewer trying to get a word with former Italian Heritage Cup champion Tony D'Angelo. And he got a few words out, but again, Oba Femi just blasts through the scene, bombing through like he owns the place, and pushing his title defense coming up. CJ, what do you think of this, man? This is 2 weeks in a row that North American champion Oba Femi has absolutely disrespected the Don of NXT.
I think it's hilarious, but at the same time, good that Tony D is kind of getting lined up for a shot at Oba Femi. I don't know if this is the guy that's gonna take the title off him, but at least I think he's gonna get a good match out of Oba Femi.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. And yeah, it does. It fills me with hope for Tony D's future, that they clearly have something, at least, something in line for him next after this Heritage Cup loss. So they'll have a good match. And yeah, I agree with you, but I don't think that he would be the one to topple Oba Femi. As right now, Oba's just on such an unstoppable tear. The man's an absolute beast. But
And
we're
getting
talking
on
here.
Monday Night Raw, showing off the North American title.
Yep. And he's got a big future ahead of him. I hope that they take their time with it. That's it. I don't want them to, screw this up by going, too hard, too fast with it. There's a tendency to do that. And we've said this before. If Vinnie Mac were still running the show, Oba would have been on the main roster by now.
With a horribly racist gimmick.
Oh, God. It'd be just atrocious.
He would have got that Nigerian prince treatment that Apollo Crews got.
Oh, my gosh. And I apparently this was something I just saw on the socials. Oba Femi and Dante Chen wrestled for the main event taping last night.
Oh, I don't watch main event.
I don't either. But someone commented that on a post about Oba over on the hipster page, and actually must have been there because they posted a picture of it as well. So, I mean, hey, that's good for both of them as well. Getting a little, kind of main roster show there. But
he might not be. He might not be on NXT for much longer. If
maybe the Don is going to beat him, right? Like maybe. Oh man,
they might not be taking their time with him at all.
Yeah, man. Hey, here's the thing. Like, he's on NXT for reasons. There are things that he still needs to fully finalize to kind of get to that, most polished version of himself. But he is very good at everything so far. He's good in the ring. He's great on the mic. He's got that X factor, that charisma, that presence. He's believable. He's a badass. Hell, maybe he won't be at NXT for too much longer.
I think part of the problem with keeping Oba Femi in NXT is he won't have as good an opportunity to learn how to wrestle as a big man. Like, the Performance Center, I'm sure, has a phenomenal staff, but do they have the experience that a working wrestler has right now?
Well, and and especially a wrestler of that size. NXT, does tend to skew a little bit, smaller. And I think that's why they are, bringing folks like Otis, which we're going to be talking about that match here in just a moment. Or, when they had, before Ivar went down with injury, they had Ivar being involved with that. I think they are trying to kind of pair him with some of those main roster big guys to, kind of get him that level of experience. But that's going to take us into...
You can only send so many main roster stars down to NXT before it just kind of gets old. You're just like, all right, well, let's just bring the fucking guy up here.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do up here. But yeah, that's what happened tonight. We did have Otis of Monday Night Raw of the Alpha Academy hopping down to developmental to get a shot to enter the open challenge of Oba Femi. And fantastic match, big meaty men slapping meat. Call this match Arby's. It's got the meats. Oba Femi retains his North American Championship in 10 minutes and 37 seconds. Great match. Shout out to Otis's gear, which I have to believe was 100% an homage to Vader, right?
I would hasten to think, or I would believe that. Yeah, definitely. The red singlet for sure.
Right. But fantastic match. Oba Femi just continuing to look like, $1 billion at this point. But CJ, what did you think of Oba's latest title defense here at NXT tonight?
It's like, if there's anybody that's going to be capable of manhandling Oba Femi believably, it's got to be Otis, or Odyssey Jones after his showing on Raw recently. Yeah. But now he's actually on Raw, so let's talk about NXT. There was There was a pretty scary spot in this match, though, when Otis ended up going into the stairs. It looked like he really hit his head and might have been knocked out. He might have still been knocked out for a couple seconds, because it was when Oba Femi tried getting him back into the ring, and he wasn't really moving.
Right.
And I think the ref had to come over. The ref, or the camera guy on the ground, pans up to the ring to keep Otis out of frame. And obviously he was fine because he finished the match and, had a good number of spots after that. So obviously he's fine. But
Right.
if he was selling, that was a fucking hell of a sell.
Masterclass in selling.
And by the way, I said hell of a sell, not hell in a sell.
Just to specify, y'all.
Yeah, because it's an entirely different kind of sell, too, by the way.
Homonyms, y'all. Homonyms. Little Schoolhouse Rock here at Take 'em Bottom High tonight, right? But yeah, that spot was scary. That was when like Oba hit him with that like back elbow strike thing, right? He went backwards into the stairs.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was brutal. Two guys of that size, like I said, it was just a heavy hitting match. And like you said, there's not a lot of guys down at NXT that are that close to Oba's size. They're running out of him. Hell, they had him do the Duke Hudson match a couple weeks ago, which I wasn't aware of really how big Duke Hudson was until that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great. It's just a great environment for Oba Femi. He looks amazing. He is amazing. If he loses to Tony D'Angelo, obviously they haven't said they're having a match in the future, but it's looking like that. Maybe that would mean he's going up to the main roster soon. I mean, Oba could be one of those guys that never touches the NXT Championship before he goes main roster.
Oh, that would be such a lost opportunity, though.
Hell, let him be the guy that takes it off Ethan Page eventually. That would get a hell of a pop.
Well, and I had it written down in my notes, too. Like, I would expect there to be an Eddie Guerrero, Brock Lesnar type of title change where, Oba Femi's the Lesnar and a guy like some talented underdog that's going to be able to get just the right moments at the right time to be able to take Oba Femi down. I think there is a really good potential for that, but that remains to be seen. And that also remains to be seen if Tony D is potentially that guy.
And only the future will tell there. But from there, we had Brooks Jensen giving a pre-taped interview. Lots of pre-tape stuff tonight. This was interesting in that he gave this, very serious, impassioned pre-tape promo and then stopped and just turned and said, "Is that good?" The camera angle changes. There was Sean Spears saying it was perfect. What'd you think of this one, man?
It was weird. Like,
right? Like a hostage
the
video.
Revelation.
Like
the
not
revelation.
say you're okay. Like,
yeah, like it was a fourth wall break of sorts that I wasn't expecting. But even the part of the segment where Jensen revealed how he actually got rehired with assistance from Sean Spears, like, it really adds to the mystery of why Josh Briggs had gotten involved in the first place, especially if Jensen knew that Spears was backing him instead.
Yeah, there's not a lot of it's a pretty big plot hole, really. A
little bit.
Yeah, but
it might have it might still be explained that they manipulated Josh Briggs, and this this turnout was the plan all along, and all that shit. So I think that if they But yeah, just like, okay, now that we know that Sean Spears was filming this confessional video, the fuck was he gonna use it for?
Look, he's just a weird dude.
He's definitely got a room of VHS tapes.
Yeah.
In a hidden wall.
Yeah, like they'll reveal that even though he would have got, I don't even know how old Sean Spears is. He's probably not too far off from our ages, but they'll eventually reveal that despite having probably been pretty young at the time, he was the one that was actually behind GTV.
GTV.
Way back.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Filming the big show in the bathroom and all that. But
God, what was it recently that I saw a GTV ref? Oh, yeah, because it was talking about unresolved plot lines and how nobody actually wound up taking ownership for GTV. Who knows? Maybe when Goldust is inducted, he'll claim ownership.
Well, as long as they don't say it was Hornswoggle, I'll be happy.
Well, no, because Vince McMahon's gone. He can't make that terrible decision twice.
No more swag. But after the jarring Brooks Jensen segment, we had Idris and Ofe and Malik Blade backstage, and they were sad by how Jensen was being manipulated, because they all kind of came in together and they were buddies, and Hank and Tank were hanging around there, and this was when they believe. Sorry, I'm getting a couple of segments mixed up here. This is when they set up for the OC and Hank and Tank for next week, right?
Yes, and I'm glad that Hank and Tank are getting some TV time on NXT again. We had speculated a little while ago on Level Up, which, if you don't watch our Level Up adventure on Sundays, why the heck not? But the last time we saw, there was a promo from Uriah Connors, and I remember we speculated that the guys he was talking to were Hank and Tank.
Mm-hmm.
Do we still think that's the case? Because otherwise, we haven't seen Hank and Tank in a little bit. They didn't seem off. They seemed like themselves, but I don't know. What do you think?
I'm not 100%. I mean, it could be, they're not rushing turns at this point, either on the main roster or in NXT for the most part. So it could be kind of a slow thing. So it could still be them. It could be somebody else entirely. But if they're going to turn them heel, I mean, it's not going to be against heels. Clearly, they're the faces going into this scenario against the OC. But, I heard somebody say that when it comes to talent in NXT, the way they've been doing things recently, everybody gets a shot at being face and everybody gets a shot at being heel. And generally, you're not going up to the main roster until you've kind of had your hand in both of those pots. And Hank and Tank, to my knowledge, have not had any opportunity to do any heel work, and they probably would want to give them that shot to see what they're capable of. Because sometimes you learn a lot. You can see how someone can turn it up. Like Roxanne Perez is a good example of someone who, when it even started, I didn't really think she was going to be able to pull this heel character off, and she's just done a stellar job of it. She's little and she's cute and she's a natural baby face, but she plays snotty heel very well. And you wouldn't have known that. We kind of think, she figured she would have been ready to be main roster already as a face, but then we would have been robbed of what has been a good heel run. So I could definitely still see Hank and Tank for that reason being who's going to be revealed as Uriah's heavies. But I don't know, depending on what happens next week, if they beat the OC, which I hope that they do, does that put, being Uriah Connors' enforcers kind of below them?
Oh, definitely. If they beat Gallows and Anderson, and if they lose, maybe that's how we end up introducing Uriah Connors to NXT proper. And for those that don't watch Level Up, we refer to the difference between NXT and NXT Level Up is NXT on Tuesdays is NXT proper.
Yeah.
Now tune into Level Up so I don't have to explain the fucking difference.
Yes, please do. Please do. Oh, man.
Mac, yeah.
I've actually access. Some of us have access.
No, Mac T. There was a different comment. I'm gonna say yes.
Okay,
he knows what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, I love seeing Hank and Tank, regardless of. Well, I mean, like, I've used the phrase before where they're at their best, the best possible version of themselves, doing what they're doing now, and for me at least, it hasn't gotten stale. So I don't know if they need to change anything up, but if they do, I think they've got enough charisma and talent to pull it off.
Right on. Agreed. Up next, we had Izzy Dame taking on Brinley Reese. Brinley Reese without Idris Enofe or Melik Blade. As we've mentioned on Level Up, they have been absent of Brinley Reese for their matches on Level Up that they've had recently, and they've been winning without her around. And, the question tonight in my mind going into this match was, is Brinley Reese bad luck? Can Brinley Reese turn it around? Brinley Reese lost in 4 minutes and 10 seconds to Izzy Dame. So, maybe the problem has been Brinley all along. Now, we did mention we were a little concerned for Brinley because she's kind of in a position now where it's a very sink or swim kind of situation for what they're going to do with her. And CJ, what did tonight's match tell you with the direction for Brinley Reese?
Well, I mean, I thought it was a good match. So I think if they're able to figure out a character that works for her, she will be able to land on her feet and keep her job. I think that based on this match, she's gonna be okay. But again, I'm not the decision maker, so pure speculation.
All right, yeah. It's,
what about you? What do you think?
I thought she looked good here, like you said. I like her as a character. And
like the over enthusiastic, cartwheels everywhere.
I enjoy that. Like I can see how it would rub some people the wrong way, but I enjoy enthusiasm and optimism. That being said, with her being on this losing streak and kind of separating herself more or less by choice from Enofe and Blade, she's in a dark, low place, and who doesn't love a good redemption story? So I selfishly, one, I like seeing her wrestle anyway, but so I'd like for her to stay around for that reason. But also, I want to see her turn it around. I want to see Brinley Reese, rise up to her potential and cartwheel her way to some victories.
And if they decide to do anything like the Gauntlet Eliminator again, if she's improved enough in that time that they feel like giving her a spot, hopefully she's able to hold her own.
Yeah, agreed. But from there, we went back to the backstage, and we had Kelly Kincaid talking with Ava, and Ava just kind of catching her up on some things here about the Gauntlet Eliminator next week, that she was finalizing the paperwork for the Triple Threat #1 Contenders match between Wes Lee, Joe Hendry, and Pete Dunne. And in steps Tuesday Night Roxy. It's not Tuesday night without Roxanne Perez, right? And she said she would be watching the Eliminator very closely. And she was interested because that's how she got her chance initially. But I don't know, Tony, and I'm not going to ask her.
No, and I'm not even going to speculate.
No. But they are standing in high order like a Singular Wireless ad from the early 2000s.
There's like a oh god, I can't even think. Sorry, I had something and it just poof.
Solid segment here. I was glad that they found some way to get Roxy on TV tonight.
Her delivery has considerably improved since she's turned heel.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I've really enjoyed the hell out of this heel run. It was a bumpy start without question, but she's done a great job with it overall. And now I would question that, when she inevitably loses the title and, goes up to the main roster, do you take her up as a face to start or take her up as a heel to start?
I think it depends on how the rest of her NXT career goes. Yeah. Like if she loses the title with some dignity and manages to come up to the main roster with some momentum, I think there's a good chance that they might just keep her as a heel. But I guess that also depends on the landscape of the main roster at any given time.
Right.
So at least we know that however they bring her up, she's got the capacity to wear either hat.
Yeah, she's got it all. She's got everything it takes to be an absolute hyperstar on the main roster.
Star pupil.
Yeah, yeah, just phenomenal work, and she's come a very long way in such a short time, and she is very young. So I mean, she's got a long career ahead of her, and she can do it all. And I think a decade from now, we're going to be talking about how many events she has headlined and how many titles she has won. But after that segment, we had a quick little announcement from Shawn Michaels talking about the upcoming launch on the CW, which is going to be October 1st, right around the corner, guys. And he said it would be, quote, a whole different animal. So I'm not sure what all they have planned for this launching of NXT onto network television. But it's going to be big, and it's going to be exciting, and I'm wondering how many of these shows will end up being on the road. We know the first two are. After that, are they going to be back in the Performance Center, or are they going to be on the road?
And I do think that that might be a draw for the CW, is getting on the road, not having the Performance Center be the home base. And I get the desire to reduce costs, but if you're going to get support from the network, let's do something with that money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed. And that was we'll not go too deep into it, as this was a conversation we had a couple weeks ago on Level Up Adventure.
Go watch our fucking show.
That's gonna be the tagline. CJ and Tyler's Level Up Adventure. Go watch the fucking show.
Like, literally, that's all you need to know. We talk Level Up. We dive into an NXT topic. It's good shit. Go fucking watch it.
It's fantastic. So now I'm curious if they're watching. And by they, I mean, the brass at NXT. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what they do with it. I'm hella excited for October 1st. Not just because it's October 1st and I love the spooky season, but also because NXT is going to the CW. But after that, we had a segment backstage, another week of Ashante the Adonis trying to hit on some women at the PC who rebuffed his advances. And he saw back in the back there, I believe that is that Lainey Reed?
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
I think it might be Lainey Reed. But definitely Dion Lennox back there reading a book.
Those two women that he was talking to at the start of the promo, I clocked it, and I hate that I went back and confirmed it. He fucking said Adonis Lee. Those first two women. Okay, what the fuck is this dude? Like, I get like being self-absorbed hit or ladies man, not hitman, Jesus. But I well, because I'm like, he's hitting on ladies, and then my brain just went hit man. It was like, no. Self-absorbed ladies man, but Adonisly? No, it Adonisly makes me want to fucking vomit.
Which is good. He's doing his role well. Then, it reminded me of Johnny Nitro, or I guess he was John Morrison at the time. But he and I think Carlito went on a date with the Bella Twins, and at one point, like, the waiter asked if he was ready to order, and he pulls up his shirt and just says absolutely. So like it made me think of that. But yeah, Adonisly. I hope he says it a lot going forward. I hope it's on merch.
It probably will be.
It's obnoxious as hell, and it's good for that reason.
It's not winning me over, but I agree with you.
Yeah.
There will be merch, and it is annoying.
Also, Dion Lennox back there reading a book. It reminded me of some of Daniel Bryan's early segments when he was on the main roster in WWE, where he'd be backstage, like, asking folks to quiet down because he's trying to read. But fun segment here, though. Adonis asked Dion what he was reading, and he said, "It ends with us," to which Adonis took offense and said, "Yeah, it'll end with them in the ring next week." So next week, we will have Level Up's Dion Lennox taking on Ashante the Adonis. What do you think there? Do you think that Adonis is going to get the win out of there, or is this going to be part of Dion's transition to NXT proper?
I don't know, because the first question that I had was, where is Cedric Alexander in all this? Like, and to be fair, I wasn't able to catch much of the Great American Bash, but I don't recall. Like, the last time I remember seeing Cedric Alexander he was still sharing screen time with Ashante the Adonis when he was picking fights with Trick Williams. So, as far as I know, they're still aligned. Is Cedric going to help Cedric or help Adonis in their match next week?
That would make sense. That would make complete sense. We didn't have Cedric on the show at all tonight. As far as I remember, I didn't see him even in the background. That would make sense.
I didn't clock him either.
Yeah. I cannot see that being the case. They definitely are still aligned. As far as I know, they haven't dissolved that relationship, unless it's one of those things where it's just like the disillusion of that's just going to be them just not doing it anymore. But they don't just drop things like that too typically. But it's certainly possible.
Possible.
But we will find out next week when Dion Lennox takes on Ashante the Adonis. I have to say Ashante the Adonis, because otherwise I will say Adrian Adonis every time.
That's fair. I feel like they want that association.
Yeah. Even
subconsciously, they're like, Adonis. Oh, yeah, that sounds like it hits that nostalgia button in a way.
Right. It does. But, all right, CJ, man, before we hop over to the jobbers and megastars for the night, was there anything about tonight's NXT that we did not discuss or touch on that you wanted to grace up against, as it would be?
That's a good question. I don't remember having anything written down that we didn't talk about, but I guess just as a reminder, Booker T sucks as a commentator.
Oh yeah, man. CJ doesn't like it, dog. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Nope,
like,
not one.
Nothing against Booker T as a person, just I don't think he adds any commentary value to the show.
Nothing against Booker T as a person. I just think he's a worthless person on air.
Okay,
He's an abject waste of oxygen.
That is not what I said. It was a professional critique, not a personal one.
CJ Carter, fuck Booker T.
I am appalled that that's how you took it.
Now, would your feelings on Booker T as a commentator change if you found out that he watches Level Up Adventure? I don't know if you're muted or not right now, CJ, because I can't hear you.
I'm thinking.
You're still thinking?
Because that is an interesting question. Like, okay, if I found out that someone in the WWE sphere watches this show, if anybody, like, that's the thing you have. No, he's coming for me. I don't know. Like, I guess it depends on his reaction. I can't imagine he'd have a very positive reception to my comments if he heard them. But if he showed up in the comments of Level Up Adventure being like, yo, heard what you said. And I
tell me you didn't just say that.
Pretty much. But yeah, I genuinely, I don't know.
Well, folks, from there, we're going to talk about, something that could stink. But if you want something that doesn't stink and you want to relax and feel some calming vibes, head over to monk.com and get yourself some diffusible aromatherapy, guys. It's awesome. It's relaxing. You'll love it. And you can use the DSR10 promo code to get 10% off your order at monk.com. Go over there, check it out. Right after the show, of course, not right now. But that is going to take us into tonight's NXT Jobber of the Night. CJ, I got Brinley Reese.
Really?
I got Brinley Reese. I feel bad for her, man. She just can't eke out a damn win. This is really more of a kayfabe jobbering here. It's not really like she did something wrong or anything. This is, I'm going purely story. I feel bad for the woman. She can't get a win. Her friends are no longer around her. I mean, she pulled herself away from them, but I still feel like they abandoned her in a sense. You know, they didn't have to let her walk off by herself. But hell, the fact that their wedding's just reinforcing how they feel about the whole thing. It's rough goings for her. I want her to turn it around. Do it, Brinley. Do it. But who you got, CJ?
Nice. Well, and I mean, I think as far as traditional jobber, yeah, nobody really stood out. Like, it does suck that Tatum Paxley lost in what I didn't realize was that short of a time frame. I thought that match felt longer than 2 minutes. But I mean,
a lot happened.
Yeah,
like in the course of 2 minutes. But yeah, it was only 2 minutes long.
And it didn't feel like she lost anything, like any stock in the company when she lost the match. Mm-hmm. So I can't really call that jobber. I guess just Tony D'Angelo, like he lost the Heritage Cup and then it comes at Jesus Christ, Tony. Anyways, he loses the cup and then gets cut off by Oba Femi. He had a rough night, so I'm sure he'll bounce back, but unfortunately, that's jobber of the night for me.
Understandable and logical choice. And that's going to take us into the Dirt Sheet Radio NXT Post-Show Rewind Megastar of the Night for August the 13th, 2024. CJ, who do you have as your megastar for this evening.
This is another landmark in the history of the NXT Dirt Sheet Radio Rewind. The last one, I would say, was when Baron Corbin won the NXT Tag Team Championships. Ironically enough, the next milestone comes with an NXT Tag Team Championship title victory. And again, it's also the second time where someone who I thought was going to be more of a hindrance than a help in NXT has been successfully rehabilitated. I can't believe the words are coming out of my mouth that my megastar of the night is Ridge Holland. He's done a hell of a job in NXT, and I gotta give him his flowers. Congrats on the win. He is doing some good work with Chase U, and I look forward to seeing what he does with the group as champions.
Yeah, I agreed. I had a split on mine. Chase U, absolutely. Chase U and Ridge, like you said, the fact that again NXT was capable of taking someone and absolutely turning them around and making us believe and get behind them and back it. Thank you, Tony. But yeah, Chase U without question. In my megastar of the night running, but I also do want to give a shout out other than to Chase U. I shout out to Wes Lee tonight for that first heel promo. I all week was curious to, not just hear what he had to say, but how he said it, and his inflection and his body language and how everything came across. And it worked tremendously well. I believe that he's going to have a great run as a heel, and I look forward to seeing what he's going to be able to do.
I think that's appropriate for Wes Lee too. Like, he's definitely still in the most interesting story. Like, obviously the NXT TNA relationship is always going to be the highlighted stories in the show because they want to make the most of that relationship. Mm-hmm. But the history with the Rascals and specifically Wentz in NXT is obviously a very rough story. But even when Wes Lee was talking about it, and he said something to the effect of he found success in NXT and then they found success in TNA, but they weren't here to celebrate his success and everything else. And it's like, well, I mean, you weren't there to celebrate their success either. So I don't get where this resentment's coming from. And then he started talking about having to basically mother Dez and be like, oh, okay, yeah, or Zach. And it's like, okay, yeah, no, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, and too, with, the resentment not making 100% sense there, that's just that heel thing. You tell 9 truths in one lie, and the one lie is what reminds everybody what a insufferable douchebag you really are. But just fantastic work, though. Fantastic work. But man, CJ, before we kind of get into the shop closing procedures, as it would be, was there anything else you want to touch on tonight, man?
No, I think that pretty much covers it. I think it'll be interesting to see what they do with Axiom and Nathan Frazer. Mm-hmm. The fact that we went off air with Chase U celebrating in the ring makes sense, but to see them so dejected at ringside along the barricade, I wonder how long they're actually going to be a team for.
I would say not too much longer. Maybe we'll get a super high speed Axiom and Nathan Frazer one-on-one match at No Mercy.
Don't say speed.
Well, no, I high octane. Is that better?
There you
high
go.
Octane.
Yeah. Yeah,
quick pace.
that works. Yeah,
Quicker than a hiccup, as Jim Ross has said.
there you go.
But y'all, I want to thank you for watching live tonight. And if you enjoyed what you've seen here this evening, I have tremendously great news for you. We don't do this just for NXT. That'd be wild if we did. We love NXT, CJ and I, but and we don't do that just for this.
I mean,
Dirt
we
Sheet Radio.
exclusively do NXT, but
That's
we
true.
also do other things that are outside of NXT. But if it's NXT related, it's me and
We're there. But yo, we are here all the time. Dirt Sheet Radio is always on. We are here Monday nights after Raw, Tuesday nights for NXT, Wednesday nights for AEW Dynamite, Thursday nights are made for TNA Impact, our sibling show at this point, and Friday nights are for SmackDown. And if you're up really late on Wednesday nights, you can listen live to the Dirt Sheet Radio flagship show. But if you're like me and have to be up early most times, listen to it Thursday mornings when it's posted. Also, on the weekends, there's this show that CJ and I do called CJ and Tyler's Level Up Adventure, where we cover the goings-on at Developmental's Developmental and hit some current NXT topics, and then always hit a deep dive topic on the show. We went a little long this last week, about 2 hours, but it was a great conversation, and we had a lot of fun, as we always do. And also on Sundays, the 3NT podcast every single Sunday. I'm going to say almost every time I say this, but that graphic is sharp. We waited a long time for that graphic, and the wait was worth it because it looks fantastic. But CJ, man, tell the good folks at home where they can find you next and where they can see you on the socials.
Well, next I should be able to make it for Friday Night SmackDown this week. Most nights I'm on Monday Night Raw, rewinding that show. Tuesday nights, rewinding NXT. And then, of course, my newest baby child, my pride and joy, one half of CJ and Tyler's NXT Level Up Adventure. Fucking watch it. It's amazing.
Oh, God. And I am Tyler, the Pro Wrestling Hipster. As he just said, always doing the Level Up Adventure. NXT on Tuesday nights. I'm here for Raw on Mondays. Most of the big PLEs I try to make it in on. And if you're looking for me on the socials, I'm on the Instagram at PW Hipster, Twitter at PW Hipster. I don't really do a lot on Twitter. Instagram is more spooky Halloween stuff. So if you like that, see me there. But my wrestling stuff is mostly situated over on the Facebook, where I am the Pro Wrestling Hipster. And of course, you guys see me here a lot with Dirt Sheet Radio, and we love it. And it's so much fun. And it's a pleasure that we get to do this all the time. And hey, we don't get to do this without you guys watching it. So thank you once again, everybody, for tuning in tonight. Dirt Sheet Radio will be back live tomorrow night for AEW Dynamite. We'll see you then, y'all. Have a